We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Broadcast number 277, our all-around count, and Torch News Roundup number 305. So we've got some more topics here to discuss. First off, once again, it is a very hot, steamy, and muggy Saturday night here. The only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Johnny Torch live broadcast. And it is a hot and sticky one, but looking down on the fair metropolis below here in stately Torch Tower, we bring you the Torch News Roundup, number 305. And we got quite a show here, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. I would first admonish you to do all the wonderful things that all YouTube hosts are supposed to tell you. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave some comments in the chat if you're watching this live. If not, leave some comments in the comments below. We had 2 comments here, and I can only find one now. I don't know if somebody deleted their comment. So we've got a very abbreviated mailbag segment coming up. But first things first, I have to bring your attention to a very important topic at hand here, which is the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye case book number 14. We're hoping to get this baby out at least by the end of summer. I'm working on the coloring now. I've got a few little tiny bits to continue to ink. I got one page that's needs a lot of inking still done, but I have tried to get some coloring on this one done. I've also done a little bit of the lettering on a couple of pages. So again, it's getting churned out with a bit of regularity, but again, it's going to take a bit of time, and you're going to have to be patient with me as I go through the creative steps. The process, you understand, takes a day at a time, and yeah. So hopefully this will get done by the end of summer, but I'm working on it diligently, still trying to get it done. And of course, while you're waiting for the next installment, check out the link in the description below. You can see the previous issues in the series. We've got the whole of season 1 available in a glorious omnibus on Global Comics, which gives you basically 5 stories all in one convenient bundle. I don't have the price right in front of me, but that's like $45 or something like that. We, of course, have the individual issues and the 3 original stories as graphic novels. We've remastered them, fixed up the coloring in some cases and the inking, and in most cases the lettering as well. So they're there for your perusal at your convenience. Of course, I like to have some new images ready to show you guys, but I don't really have anything completed yet. There's just like parts of pages colored, and I haven't really completed a whole page yet. I seem to be bouncing around trying to, get a little done per page instead of doing all of one page at a time, which is not the way I usually work, but that's the way it's speaking to me for this issue. And so that's the way this one's going to go. I've got some ideas maybe for what to do about another video. Maybe we'll do a ranking video, and I'll talk about all the issues so far. And, because I've done videos where we talk about when the issue becomes live and you can buy it and this and that. But, even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did a ranking of his top, I think it was 12 favorite stories he wrote of Sherlock Holmes. We could rank the 5 stories that I've got published already, 6 if you count the one we're in the middle of working on now, which is Against All Odds, Bullets Bourbon is Poisoned by General Diesel and his battery pack posse. As you can see, they are mean dudes, and they mean business. And of course, they mean to also take over Stark City, which is only the launching pad for their evil nation of Batonia to strike out over the whole of the United States and eventually the whole world. So stay tuned for more updates about this when it comes to pass. We will be talking more about Bullets Bourbon pretty soon on the channel. And also, I want to point you folks into the direction of our most recent videos. We're like I said, we're getting a lot more views. We're getting a lot more subscribers. I want to thank everybody who's helped out the channel, everybody who's left a comment, everybody who's subscribed. Even though it seems like they're trickling in just a little at a time, it's every subscriber is just a joy for me. And it means that the show is getting looked at by more people. And of course, I think what's cracking the code for me with the algorithm is now that I'm doing shorts. And that, for some reason, is what brings in the audience, brings in the views. You can get a lot more people to watch a under 3-minute short than you can a full hour video. But I like the hour videos, so they're not going anywhere. But check out the last couple of videos we did. We've taken a look at some of the hot, as it is very hot, summer movies. The most recently, Masters of the Universe. We left a video for that just a couple of days ago. And of course, before that, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Both films I quite enjoyed. Different levels of enjoyment. Neither was probably a home run, but both pretty much fulfilled the need that they were going for. I think Masters of the Universe pretty much was 70% probably, I would say, what I wanted in a Masters of the Universe movie. Mandalorian and Grogu, again, a fun outing. It's not trying to reinvent the Star Wars wheel, but it is a fun time at the movies. And, you know, if you like the sights and sounds of Star Wars, I would give it a shot at the big screen. Another thing we'll be doing is in a couple of weeks, we'll be reviewing Supergirl, which again has been another controversial subject. A lot of people wanting to see this one fail. We'll talk more about success and failure in a moment. We've also got, I'm watching Spider Noir. I just started watching it yesterday, the first 2 episodes. It's a very interesting show. I was surprised. I didn't think I was going to like it, but then again, when you consider it's basically a guy with Spider-Man powers dressed as Bullets Bourbon, I mean, that does kind of seem up my alley. I like period pieces like that. This is like taking place, I guess, in the late 1920s, early 30s. And it has a lot of good banter in it, like, you know, Nicolas Cage sort of doing this best Bogart impression, trying to do the Sam Spade thing and everything. So I'm only 2 episodes in, so this is not a full-fledged review, but maybe depending on how far I get along with it, I mean, it's pretty good so far. You know, maybe I'll do a video review of that as well. So, with that out of the way, please check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. You can find the link in the description below. You can go to my website. You can pick up hard copies on Indie Planet, and you can go to Global Comics for all your digital download needs. All right, so again, before we get too far into the subjects tonight, we'll take a look at the mailbag portion. We've got a mailbag segment today, and the comment was left on my short from the Masters of the Universe review, where I was talking about the violence in Masters of the Universe. Not that it was overly violent. I don't think it was that violent, but the question was, should He-Man kill? And it seems like he doesn't really have any compunction of killing in the Masters of the Universe movie, particularly when the 87 movie, they went out of their way to make sure he didn't kill. I mean, they made robots, basically the grunts, to have He-Man smash them with a sword and so forth. Somebody left a comment, Winnie DAP, Winnie Dap, I don't know. I left a comment saying Batman in the last 20 years is literally no different. And I understand that to mean, I guess, yeah, they sort of let Batman kill even when it's against his no-kill rule. And for some reason, that's the hardest thing for directors to do, is not let Batman kill. I don't understand it. I mean, it's kind of built into his mythology. It's not something that is difficult to do. You just don't let Batman kill. His weapon is a batarang. That's a glorified boomerang. He doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have a knife. And I don't understand. I mean, we've gone over this a lot of times. I mean, I've done a rant video, which is like, I don't know, under 10 minutes. And you can check that out in my rant playlist about Batman. And I've, said this on Twitter. I've said this many times in other places as well. But it's like Batman wouldn't be Batman if he kills. I mean, people are like, why doesn't he end the Joker? Why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? Because he's not a vigilante that takes the law into his own hands. I mean, you can skirt the law. You can beat up a thug, a suspect, or something like that, and not have, the full measure of the law come against you. But if Batman starts dropping bodies, I mean, the police are not going to look the other way. He's going to be public enemy number one. The point of the Batman is that the bat signal is on top of the police station. They're supposed to call him when they need help. It's not supposed to be that. I mean, I know that it starts that way sort of in the Batman mythos, year one or whatever, and the cops usually trying to bring him in. But at a certain point in the lore, you're supposed to have the bat signal. You're supposed to have Commissioner Gordon having rooftop visits with Batman to get these, plans made to take out criminals and stuff. And Commissioner Gordon is not going to be able to cooperate with Batman if Batman is killing, criminals who, let's face it, they need their day in court. They're supposed to be given a fair trial and this and that. They're not going to just let Batman kill. And people don't understand that that's kind of the first and foremost reason why Batman doesn't kill, because, he would be going above the law and the police are not going to look the other way. So again, I think that's why it's a little bit easier for me to sort of suspend disbelief when it comes to He-Man, because Eternia is its own ball of wax. Its own rules apply. I mean, He-Man can do what He-Man does because he's on Eternia. If he came to Earth, it'd probably be a different story and try to do that stuff. But again, Batman has to live by the letter of the law. He can't just kill and at least not expect to be the Batman we all know, because again, he would be public enemy number one, and essentially be the Punisher, which we don't need, because one Punisher is enough. All right, so if you have any more comments to leave, I'll be sure to address them on the subsequent broadcasts, the subsequent Torch News roundups. So thank you to Winnie for the comment. We'll get to our first subject of the evening. Let's talk about the Superman Man of Tomorrow set pics that have been coming out. This is pretty exciting. We've got the Lex Luthor war suit. That's basically the Superpowers war suit that was created for the toy line, I'm pretty sure. Or they based it off a comic. I don't know. I just remember it as the toy line. I'm really a fan of the old school Luthor from the 70s power outfit, whatever you want to call it, where it was the purple pants and the purple vest and whatever. That was pretty cool. I'd like to see that show up in a Superman project at one point. And knowing James Gunn, as he likes to delve back into some of the, darker but more colorful sides of, the DC history, I think he'll probably pull that out at some point. He could be wearing it into that suit for all we know. But apparently Luthor is pointing the ultimate nullifier at Soup. That's something that I guess didn't get used in Fantastic Four First Step. So Luthor is making sure it doesn't go to waste. And this was accompanied by some clips where apparently Superman and Luthor were fighting in some kind of award ceremony or something, and Luthor gets thrown out of the building and Soup just starts wailing on him and smashing up the suit. Let's see if we got any more images here behind the scenes. Looks like Superman winds up with the blaster, the ghetto blaster he has there. He looks pretty miffed. Something is going on here that I don't know. I mean, something has got him all riled up. And the suit for Luthor is practical. I mean, they're not just putting dots on a jumpsuit and letting him get it, digitally created. He's wearing an actual super suit, a power suit, which is really cool in my opinion, that they're doing more practical stuff. because it does kind of make a difference. I mean, I'm not overly concerned if they do effects practically, but I think in some cases you can kind of see the difference. And then we got one more image here of Soup with battle damage. I hate battle damage, honestly. They did that in the Spider-Man movies, the Raimi movies, where his mask was always getting blown to shreds and his costume was always getting shredded. And I can understand that for Spider-Man to an extent because he's just got the threads that he put together. Superman has a invulnerable costume. The only reason why this should be damaged is if it was a kryptonite missile or something. I don't know that you could possibly say could damage the suit. But I'm not gonna, judge that just by this one image. I'm pretty sure there'll be a logical reason for it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Man of Tomorrow? Do you like these set images that we're getting? Do you like the idea of Soup and Lex still duking it out, even though they promise to unite against the might of Brainiac in this upcoming film, The Man of Tomorrow, which I would be very surprised if that doesn't get a name change. It's going to be called Superman Man of Tomorrow or something to that extent. All right, so let me know what you think. Next up, let's talk a little bit about He-Man. As you know, He-Man has underperformed, sort of the same as Mandalorian and Grogu, but I think Mandalorian and Grogu actually made more in its opening weekend than He-Man. A lot of people are, the usual suspects are jubilant over it failed, the same thing as Mandalorian. Oh, it failed, as if this is a good thing. I mean, they're both pretty good movies, and why should we be celebrating their failure? I know there's a lot of fans, basically of both, that have come to the aid of their party, which is nice to see because, again, a lot of these guys are grifters, and I know I go on that tangent often, but it's kind of disappointing when we have people who are actively cheering for the failure of these movies. And maybe that was something that during the woke era we could do. I know in some cases the woke is still got a stranglehold on certain things. I know the story of Doctor Who. I didn't make that a topic today, but to touch on it briefly, I mean, they apparently are just washing their hands of Doctor Who now because they ran it into the ground during the woke years. And the sad thing there is that it's kind of the same thing as with, to a lesser extent, but Kevin Feige basically used the excuse of the woke era to just pound the MCU into the ground with the all new, all different characters, Sam Wilson, Captain America, and Jane Foster, Thor, and all that stuff. But Doctor Who did it even worse by basically making an unrecognizable mess of the show. And again, I don't know a whole lot about Doctor Who lore. I've seen a few episodes, I've seen a season or two, but it's kind of sad that it's completely been, crushed to ashes at this point, and fans have to hope for. And it's the same thing. What I was saying was that it's the same thing that Russell T Davies, I think, was their savior, the Doctor Who people, because he's the one that sort of ushered in this renaissance of Doctor Who. And much like Kevin Feige, when given the opportunity, when the woke era started paying off DEI hires and this and that, he drove Doctor Who into the ground. You can also say a similar thing for Star Trek. They just basically, with the most recent show they did, I can't remember the name of it. What was it? New Frontier or something, I don't know, but they basically just turned the woke up to unbelievable levels where I don't think there was anybody with a positive thing to say about it. Star Wars, again, also a similar thing with the Acolyte at the height of the woke era. But talking about Masters of the Universe, it doesn't seem like we have too much to worry about. Now, it could be lip service, I'm not sure. But a lot of the people, waving the white flag and saying, oh, Masters of the Universe was pretty good, but it still failed and it's going to go down, and there's not going to be any sequels, and it's a shame. But according to Amazon, they're pretty satisfied with it. Now, let me read the copy here. Masters of the Universe might have underperformed in its opening weekend, but Amazon MGM says it's still happy with its performance. The new film has a reported budget of almost $200 million, not including marketing, but also grossed $54.4 million worldwide during opening weekend. Director Travis Knight and the entire cast and filmmaking team have delivered something truly special, and this opening is exactly the kind of critical first moment that validates our holistic distribution strategy, building awareness and engagement that will carry well beyond the theatrical window, said Kevin Wilson, Amazon MGM's domestic distributor chief, in a statement via Variety. Essentially, Wilson is saying that the box office isn't the only measure of success for a film like Masters of the Universe, which is based on the iconic He-Man brand. Time will tell if the movie proves to have staying power. It has currently 88% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and seems like fans are enjoying it. So, again, for all the people that just are, so enthusiastically excited that another pelt has been added to their hunting trophies, a lot of people are feeling now, I think they're coming around to the idea that this game is just like, it's really disappointing. It's really depressing. We wait for a new genre movie to come out. And in the marketing and in the interviews, we have someone connected with the film say something woke, something insulting to the fan base. And then the usual suspects will beat it into the ground like a dead horse. They'll just pound it and pound it and pound it into oblivion. Then the movie comes out, underperforms, probably because of the bad, word of mouth and relentless beating it takes online. And then they start prognosticating just how terrible the film is going to do. It's not going to make its budget back. It's not going to make the budget plus the marketing. And this is like the game we play. And I think a lot of people are starting to get sick of that game. A lot of people are starting to wise up that, a movie like Masters of the Universe was actually really good. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There are very few films that are, but it didn't deserve to get this kind of treatment. And you can't make the excuse that, well, they did poor marketing because they said there was toxic masculinity. And, well, no, if you didn't run with that headline and beat it into the ground, nobody would really care. Nobody would really even know. But people make this front page news. The same thing with Millie Alcock with Supergirl. She opens her mouth and then, the ink flies on the digital page and stays there for a month at a time. And I say, why don't we judge the film actually on the film? And people want to do this now with Masters of the Universe, but the damage is done. I think there's probably more to it than just the usual suspects piling on, because like I said, they kind of wanted to use this one as their, well, we don't hate everything. This was as good a movie as you could expect and all that. But it's that same performance art that they have. It's the same. They do it to every film. They try to take down as many as they can of these big blockbuster genre movies, because why? They're still hurting their fifis that the woke era ruined a lot of these franchises. And it's right to be angry that a lot of them were ruined. I mean, you can go back to the Masters of the Universe cartoon with Kevin Smith. And it's like it came out at the wrong time. It came out during the woke era when it really, was doing it like the woke way. They got rid of He-Man by killing him early, and then Teela becomes a lesbian looking girl boss. And so it's understandable that like there's a tendency to want to lash out at a lot of these people responsible for what they did to our franchises, but you've got to also be there for the franchise when it is doing something right. You know what I mean? When they get it right, they should be rewarded. And, in the case of Masters of the Universe, and even I would say Mandalorian and Grogu, they did right by the fans. They didn't do a DEI product. They didn't have a woke product out there. In the case of Masters of the Universe, it's kind of an anti-woke movie, an anti-DEI movie, if you really think of it. If you've actually seen it, a lot of people complaining about it haven't even seen it. Same thing with the Mandalorian and Grogu. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited about Masters of the Universe? Apparently, still going to get sequels, at least according to Amazon spokesman. And I feel like a lot of people in the usual suspects camp don't understand that. We've gone over this too before, but it's not the same world as it was when they started this beating the drum for, oh, the film needs another $300 million just to break even. These studios have streaming services. They are not spending as much in the way of marketing that they used to. They're not, splitting the pie up so much. They also got merchandise. They've also got DVD sales. They've got the streaming sales. It's not the same case anymore where a film needs to have a gonzo box office in order to justify continuing on. Now, in the case of Amazon with Masters of the Universe, we could potentially see something done on Amazon Prime with the Masters of the Universe sequels. And I think there's a lot of places you can go with a Masters of the Universe series, a film series. I mean, the film really doesn't touch on Teela's backstory with the sorceress. You have obviously She-Ra and the Horde waiting in the wings. You have King Hiss and the Snake Men. You could honestly make like about 5 good films with He-Man characters without even really repeating a storyline. I mean, of course, always we would like to see Skeletor come back, especially after he was a highlight in this film. But yeah, you could probably do a good half dozen films in the He-Man brand because it's built for that. It's a series. It's a serial, really. It started that way as an animated series. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. And next up, we have the Scooby Doo TV show here now, the new one that's coming, the live action show coming to Netflix, introduced its new star, Scooby Doo, and many people lost their minds as usual. Apparently this doesn't look like Scooby Doo to a lot of people. I'm familiar with a cartoon that when I was a kid was called A Pup Named Scooby Doo, where he actually looked like this. And if you took just a millisecond to not have a knee-jerk reaction, you could probably figure out that this was going to be an origin story of Scooby Doo, where they would use him as a pup before he became the large Great Dane or whatever breed that dog is supposed to be. I believe he's supposed to be a Great Dane. Before he got to be that big canine, he was a tiny pup. And a lot of people just jumped the gun and started, hyperventilating over this. But I could honestly see what they were doing here. Now, reading the copy, it tells you right off the bat. Now, if you took a breath, if you could just calm down for a minute and read what the copy said, the show's called Scooby Doo Origins. Yeah, Origins. That means he's going to be a pup, and then eventually he'll grow up. So there was no need to go hysterical. There was no need to flip out. Now, my only concern about this is, I mean, why do you want to do a Scooby-Doo show? Because apparently they're doing it with a live dog, a real dog. It's not going to be like the James Gunn films where it's a CGI dog. This is going to be a first where I guess Scooby-Doo doesn't talk unless they're going to have him, do the animated lips and have him say Ruh-roh and Raggy and all that stuff. Maybe that's something they're going to do. If not, this is more of a, realistic, quote unquote, air quotes, realistic take on Scooby-Doo. This seems to be pretty accurate to what they were doing casting wise. All the actors look like the characters. It doesn't seem to be a problem with wokeness and DEI hires. So everybody kind of had a good feeling about this show. I'm not sure exactly, what the story encompasses, but we can take a look at the copy here. Maybe we'll find out. All right, Scooby-Doo Origins showrunners Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg are going back to the beginning and the terrifying case that started it all. This is the synopsis. During their final summer at camp, old friends Shaggy and Daphne. So Shaggy and Daphne are friends. That's interesting. Because when they did like shows when I was a kid in the '80s, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, I remember that's one of the places where they kept Daphne in the show, but they jettisoned Velma and Freddy, which was an interesting thing to do because a lot of the times they just kept Shaggy and Scooby in these cartoons without bringing in Daphne. But for a couple of shows, I think they just brought in Daphne, which Daphne, of course, is a favorite of mine. Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely, lost Great Dane puppy who may have been a witness to a supernatural murder. Alongside the pragmatic and scientific townie Velma, and the strange but ever so handsome new kid Freddy, they set out to solve the case that's pulling each of them into a creepy nightmare that threatens to expose all of their secrets. This sounds interesting. Scooby Doo Origins stars Maxwell Jenkins as Fred Jones, McKenna Grace as Daphne Blake, Abby Ryder Forston as Velma Dinkley, and Tanner Hagen as Shaggy Rogers. Paul Walter, I think that's supposed to say, that's a typo. Paul Walter Hauser is also confirmed to appear. He's in all that stuff, isn't he? He's got a great gig. He always shows up in all these shows. It was recently reported that Roseanne Allam Sarah Gilbert has boarded the series as well. The live-action prequel is executive produced by Rosenberg, Applebaum, as well as Greg Berlanti, Sarah Shater, Lee, London Redman, and Andre Nemec. Jeff Pinker, Adrienne Erickson, Toby Haynes will also serve as executive producer and direct the premiere episode. As noted, Scooby Doo Origins premieres on Netflix in 2027. So again, as a long-time Scooby Doo fan, I am not perturbed in the slightest about this. It looks like they've got actors that are at least accurate to the characters. It looks like they've got a dog that can grow into the role of Scooby Doo. This is an origin story. No need to flip out. No need to wig out. And again, I'm probably not going to get Netflix just to see this, but eventually at some point I probably will check it out just to see. I hope it's not overly realistic. I mean, I realize that the idea is probably that they're going to try to treat this realistically, that, he's not going to talk or anything. That probably is what disappoints me the most. But again, I'm going to kind of wait and see. That's my attitude with this, is sort of just wait and see. All right, so what are your thoughts on the Scooby Doo show, the new Scooby Doo Origins? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll give you a Scooby snack. All right, next up we've got Vision Quest. We've got a little bit of info about this Marvel show, which is said to sort of wrap up the, I guess, trilogy of WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange, and now Vision Quest, because Vision is sort of left in the lurch. What became of him? What are we going to do with him? What are we going to do without him? We'll find out here. Let's take a look at the story. Marvel Television will conclude the story that began in 2021 with WandaVision when Vision Quest lands on Disney Plus this fall. The series will follow the former Avenger as he attempts to regain his emotions and finally reunites with his now adult sons Tommy and Billy Maximoff. After Thanos tore the Mind Stone from his head in Avengers Infinity War, Vision was left a grayed-out husk. Sword then took the android's remains and revived him as a mindless weapon. However, after encountering the Hex Vision inside Westview, the deadly White Vision regained his memories and flew off to parts unknown. Memories without emotions are a problem, and Vision will seemingly turn to his fellow AIs, including his father Ultron, for help. Ultron! Exclamation point. For help when we next see him. A brief synopsis has surfaced that reveals more about what is next for the hero in Vision Quest. Quote, the Vision rebooted and having escaped those who sought to use him as a weapon has been hiding. His quest for new meaning and discrete existence is interrupted when a bounty is placed on his head, forcing Vision to forge real connections and embrace found family if he's to survive. So, this sounds interesting. Let's see. With Paladin and former Ten Rings leader Raza set to appear in Vision Quest. Raza? They're bringing him back after like 20 years? That's interesting. We can safely assume that they will be among those seeking to capture or kill the immensely powerful android. At least part of the series will be set in Madripoor, opening the door to an appearance from Sharon Carter, aka Power Broker. Maybe that's where they're going to bring her back in. And assuming Sword is no longer a threat, it seems the MCU's criminals will want to get their hands on him. Another compelling possibility is that the real Ultron has placed this bounty on his son's head. We have to wait and see. Paul Bettany previously said the series takes huge swings, adding, "It manages to feel very much like it's somehow part of the MCU, an end to a trilogy whilst also being very much its own thing. And it is just very good. I'm very proud of it. We've been in editorial for a long while now, and I keep seeing cuts of it that just are getting better and better. And then, as all the effects get placed, it's funny and it's moving and it's super exciting. Showrunner Terry Matalas did a grand job." Vision Quest stars Paul Bettany as Vision, Rudaya Mollica as Tommy Maximoff, James Spader as Ultron, Tania Miller as Jocasta, James D'Arcy as Jarvis, they're bringing him back, Orla Bradley as Friday, Emily Hampshire as Edith, Henry Lewis as Dumb E, Jonathan Sayer as U. Todd Sashwick as Paladin. Wait a minute. Jonathan Sayer as U, Todd Sashwick as Paladin, and Fire Tahan as Raza. The conclusion to the WandaVision trilogy is set to premiere Disney Plus on October 14th. So set your Halloween calendars for this, kids. I don't know. I mean, I like Vision. I like that they're doing something with this, but I feel it feels empty without Wanda, right? I mean, Elizabeth Olsen, I think, just came out today that she's pregnant, so I don't think she's going to be involved in any MCU projects in the near future, although I guess that didn't stop both Scarlett Johansson and, funnily enough, Vanessa Kirby. So, I mean, maybe she'll have a cameo in this that we're not privy to. Sounds interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to give it a shot, but apparently MCU movies are kind of, I mean, MCU TV shows, I should say, are kind of like on the wane. I don't know. I mean, they've got Daredevil season 3 coming out, and they've got Wonder Man season 2 coming out, but I really don't hear a lot of like new shows coming back. I mean, coming up. You know, I mean, it's like just the return of shows that have already been a season or two in. So I wonder what the plan is with this. I guess this is the end of the WandaVision story. It very well may be. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And we'll go on to our final story here of the evening. Now this is interesting. Let's talk about the Batman 2. Now, apparently, everything we know is wrong. According to rumor, Sebastian Stan is not going to play Two-Face. There was some kind of mistake made, maybe some typo, but apparently Sebastian Bach is going to be the new Two-Face. Yes, in Batman 2. Yeah, and, you know, I'm sure he's going to have a great voice for Two-Face once he tries the Two-Face voice, but no, seriously. Seriously, though, the story that we're getting is that Sebastian Stan is going to play Victor Zsasz in the Batman 2, and this new casting suggests that it's going to be Brian Tyree Henry as Two-Face, Harvey Dent. I don't know if this is true. This is being called a rumor, but everybody's running with it because apparently everybody was running with Sebastian Stan as Two-Face, and Scarlett Johansson as his wife, and the other actor was going to play his father, and now they're changing the whole cast list. I mean, this could have been a real deep, you know, red herring that they threw out to get people to not really know what the storyline was going to be for Batman 2. Let's just read the copy here. Let's see what it has to say. Jeff Snyder has dropped a bombshell report claiming to reveal who is playing who in Matt Reeves' sequel, The Batman 2. For starters, it said that Thunderbolt star Sebastian Stan is not Harvey Dent Two-Face after all. Instead, the MCU veteran will transform into serial killer Victor Zsasz, who in the comics leaves his victims' corpses in lifelike poses and carves a tally mark onto his skin for each kill. Harvey will still appear in the Batman follow-up, with the Eternals and Atlanta star Brian Tyree Henry supposedly taking on the role of Gotham's duplicitous district attorney. Let's see. The Court of Owls are also involved in the movie's plot, with Snyder explaining, one of my sources told me that the Batman Part 2 script features some weird and interesting takes. Another claimed that Reeves' use of Zsasz as the villain fits in with everyone telling me the movie is fiend crazy. As for Scarlett Johansson and Charles Dance, they aren't playing big names in the Batman universe, but more like a meld of different characters. Who those are isn't revealed, but it was worth reporting that they'd be playing Harvey's wife and father, respectively. That no longer appears to be the case, and we'd bet on Dance being tied to the Court of Owls. There's a lot to unpack, and it seems that all the previous rumors about the Batman Part 2 were largely incorrect. Now, there's no way of guaranteeing that this update is right either, but Snyder has a solid track record and seems confident in his reporting here. Ultimately, it'd be down to Reeves to reveal more about what's coming in the movie when he feels the time is right. There's a good chance that many of the sequel's biggest secrets will be saved for when we sit down to watch the Batman Part 2 in October. Let's see. The cameras began rolling recently on the Batman Part 2. Let's see. Sebastian Stan was asked about the possibility of starring in the Batman Part 2 in 2024. He said, "I don't know if Batman is for me, but never say never. I don't know. There's so many characters. I told you I always had a soft spot for the Riddler, but that one's been done." Batman Part 2 stars Robert Pattinson, Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, Charles Dance, Jamie Lawson, Gil Perez Abraham, Sebastian Koch, and Brian Tyree Henry. The Batman Part 2 is set to be released in theaters on October 1st, 2027. So again, we finally have cameras rolling on Batman Part 2. I kind of wondered if it was ever going to happen. But, I honestly hope that the rumor is true here, because I wasn't going to see this movie anyway. But I was kicking myself if Sebastian Stan actually played Harvey Dent, because he's a natural for that character. He looks like Harvey Dent, and he would be a fantastic Two-Face. But this sounds more in keeping with Matt Reeves doing the weirdest crap, casting the weirdest characters, actors for these characters. I mean, race-changing Catwoman, race-changing Jim Gordon. It kind of makes sense that he's going to race change Harvey Dent as well. And I know people are going to say, well, Billy D. Williams was the original Harvey Dent in live action. Yeah, that's true. That probably wasn't a very good idea either, which is why they changed him in time for Batman Forever, when they actually wanted to take the character seriously. Well, scratch that, not so seriously, but they wanted to make him a starring character in the movie. I don't know here. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't really have any interest whatsoever in this film, and this kind of doubled it down for me, that now I don't have any interest whatsoever. I mean, I don't like what Matt Reeves is doing. A lot of people I noticed recently complain a lot about Christopher Nolan. I mean, maybe it's just that, the luster of the Nolan name has kind of been diminished because of the Odyssey. But I feel like his heart was in the right place, even though he was doing a grounded Batman. I don't really feel anything for Matt Reeves' Batman. I don't hate Robert Pattinson with a passion like a lot of people do. I mean, I don't like his performance in the Batman, but I think it's down to direction. I think you give him a better script, with better direction, he might do a good job. Who knows? And you've got a great cast in this movie. I mean, Sebastian Stan, like I said, right off the page, that should be Harvey Dent. You've got Scarlett Johansson. A lot of people wanted her to be the Phantasm, Andrea Beaumont. That would be a fantastic choice. Um, you know, what's his name? Charles Dance, another great, old actor, for lack of a better term. An older, seasoned character actor. He would be great for something. Maybe he's in the Court of Owls. I don't know. I never really paid too much attention to that storyline, the Court of Owls, but I know that was a big thing in the comics. But again, Matt Reeves seriously disappointed me with the Batman, the first movie. I wasn't going to see this one, and I had the slightest glimmer of interest in possibly seeing Sebastian Stan play Two-Face. If this turns out to be that it is, what's his name here, Brian Tyree Henry, whatever interest I have is probably gone by the wayside. But and another thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of people try to act like, oh, Harvey Dent was black in Batman the Animated Series, the same way they try to say Lex Luthor was black in Superman the Animated Series. I don't know. I think they give them sort of defined lips, which is sort of, I guess, as an artist myself, I know that you can't draw the same face with just a little different hair or a little different eyes. You got to do different things. The fact that I gave them defined lips, I don't think makes them black. I mean, I don't know, that their skin tone seemed about the same as the majority of characters. I don't know how people make that connection, honestly. But again, I don't think we've ever really seen a black Two-Face. So this might be a first because, as I said, Billy D. Williams never got that far to be able to do that. And I think he was disappointed in that. I feel bad in a sense for Billy D because, I think he signed up thinking he was going to play Two-Face, but, it wasn't meant to be. It's funny because it seems like race changing was a bigger deal to a lot of people with He-Man. I can't tell you how many reviews I watched where everybody pointed out at least the Man-at-Arms was race changed. We're making progress, let's put it that way, because at least people are starting to sit up and take notice. Like I said this on Twitter, but if anything, you can get away with the race change. I mean, I won't be that angry with it if you give an accurate performance. So I always said Michael Clark Duncan was the gold standard in race changing characters because he looked like Kingpin, he acted like Kingpin, he sounded like Kingpin, and you get some grace for that. And the same thing happened, I think, with Idris Elba, where he looked like Man-at-Arms. The only difference, of course, being skin tone. He sounded like Man-at-Arms. The part was written like Man-at-Arms. So, I mean, you can kind of get away with it on a superficial level sometimes. But essentially, I think the days of wanting race change characters, by and large, by the majority of the audience, is going away because a lot of people can see with the woke era and what they did with DEI hires and how ridiculously out of hand it got that we don't want that. And it would behoove studios to try to cast accurately because, like I said, I lost all interest when I seen Jim Gordon was going to be black, when Catwoman was going to be black, and of course by proxy that means Batgirl would be black unless they're going to do some real changes to the lore and maybe she was adopted or something. I don't know. But I would think that this kind of thing is going away because a lot of people seem to be standing up and vocalizing this. Before, 10 years ago, a lot of people were, summarily shouted down when we said, don't make Zendaya Mary Jane. Don't make, all these characters that existed for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Don't change them. And it's the same thing with the gingers, all the redheads, they're all being changed, race changed. And I said on Twitter, I mean, honestly, the Man-at-Arms race change, I don't think that is worse than Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury. And nobody bailed on the MCU at that point because it was like, well, it's in the comics. You have the Ultimates have a version of Nick Fury where he looks like Samuel L. Jackson. It was purposefully done that he looked like Samuel L. Jackson. But again, the Ultimates were terrible. And because of that, we're probably never going to get the white Nick Fury in a live action feature or show, because it's going to look now to a whole generation of people like Nick Fury is supposed to look like Samuel L. Jackson. It's kind of the problem we're having with Lanterns. It's like, to a whole generation that thought Jon Stewart was the premier Lantern, the prime Lantern, now they just want to kind of do away with Hal Jordan and not, use the prime Green Lantern as the focal point of the show. And that's what I mean. The prime Nick Fury is the gray-haired, grizzled, Bond-esque combat veteran. And he had a very particular version that we'll probably never see again. We'll probably never see in live action beyond the David Hasselhoff version. And honestly, he was very good. I mean, that movie wasn't great, but he did give an accurate performance of Nick Fury. So again, let me know what you think in the comments below. That's about all we have for this exciting episode, this exciting and sensational episode of the Torch News Roundup. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any comments, I'll be sure to read them. I'll be sure to address them. Any questions, any bottles, bones, or rags. All right, so I think I've kept you guys long enough. We'll see you hopefully next week, and certainly, if not, we'll be seeing you for the Supergirl review. I'm sure to try to get that one out ASAP. When does that movie come out, by the way? I don't remember. I think it's, the 26th, probably? All right, so until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.